Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope everyone's doing well as usual. So back again today with yet another contest entry as promised. So you'll recall I recently did one for John at Rock and Metal Plus, and today I'm doing a contest entry for George from George G's Room of Rock. So just like John, George has also reached 1,000 subscribers recently, which is just incredible really, because I mean it's well deserved, definitely. Congratulations, George. But I just remember it didn't seem that long ago that you were at about the 500 mark, but that's just a reflection of the quality of George's channel, I think. If you're not familiar with the channel, I'll leave the link in the description as always. But George has a very diverse taste in metal music, a lot of extreme metal like myself, but he gets a lot of points from me because he's a really huge Kiss fan and likes hair metal, which I also like, you know, in addition to extreme metal, of course. So it's like always interesting when I find someone who has that combo of musical taste, because usually people just like one or the other, but George is an exception, as am I. So yeah, that's really cool, and I always enjoy George's videos, frequent collection updates, and just a lot of interesting topics to talk about. He's created threads before, so yep, and on top of that, he's a really nice guy. So definitely check out his channel if you haven't. So what he's asked us to do today for this contest, it's very simple. There are two stipulations, one of which is spell the words 1,000 using albums. So it can either be the name of the artist or the name of the album. You know, it's very loose, you know, in terms of, you know, how to interpret that, but simply spell the words 1,000 with albums, so CDs or records or whatever. Second stipulation is to just shout out some channels. So yeah, also very simple, and I will get started momentarily. All right, so spelling out the words 1,000, I decided to go with artist names rather than album names, but it doesn't really matter, and I just thought I'd use this opportunity. I've been in a few sort of spelling contests before, so to speak, you know, on YouTube. So what I decided to do today, I chose artists which I either think are really unknown or underrated, or ones which I really like. So it's sort of like highlighting some artists which I think deserve recognition either way. So yeah, let's get started. So spelling the words 1,000, so obviously we're starting with the word one. So the letter O, this is ophthalmia with two Alicia. So if you're not familiar, ophthalmia, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is a band featuring It from Abruptum, as well as All, who is also in Abruptum, and Vondur, you know, all these extreme Swedish black metal bands. And it also featured a variety of other members, like I think Legion from Marduk performed a couple of songs vocally on this. But yeah, so just, it's actually, but it's not black metal, it's sort of like black metal crossed with doom metal, and the band called this S metal. You know, again, I can't say that word in full, but think of what does the S stand for in DSBM? Yeah, that's what this band called themselves for a while, S metal. But to me, I'm not really interested in that. It's more the fact that it's just great atmospheric music, and I really love the opening track on this album, which is A Cry from the Halls of Blood, Empire of Lost Dreams. So epic and dramatic, really cool. So, yep, there's the band there, a picture of its girlfriend on the disc there. So that's for the letter O, ophthalmia with two Alicia. Okay, so now with the letter N in one. This is Nagelfar with Harvest, I believe. Yeah, that's right. So again, this is an underrated Swedish black metal band in my opinion. Like, they are established and very well known, but I don't hear people talking about this band all that often, but they're actually really good. So Nagelfar, it's not really a supergroup, but it does feature some reputable Swedish black metal musicians, including Marcus Norman, aka Vagha from Bewitched and Ancient Wisdom, that was his solo project. But yeah, Nagelfar, it's just classic Swedish sounding black metal, melodic, quirky, it's really good, and I think this is a really underrated album. I love that song, The Darkest Road, but the whole album is really good. So that's Nagelfar with Harvest. Okay, now the letter E in one. This is an album I've already spoken about on this channel because, you know, as you know, I go through my collection in alphabetical order, but E, I decided to go with Eastern Front with Blood on Snow. So Eastern Front is a black metal band from the UK, and they play very blasting, bombastic, well-produced black metal. Not just because of the tank on the front here, but it's sort of, in some ways it reminds me of Marduk, except it's also more diverse than that. Like, it's blasting and extreme, but they also have sort of somber and melancholic moments, but really well produced and an excellent sound. So awesome black metal band, that's Eastern Front with Blood on Snow. Okay, so I've just spelled out the word one with artists, so now we're going into the word sorry, we're going to the word thousand. So we start with the letter T. So I decided to go with Torture Killer with Swarm. So probably doesn't need an introduction to most people. Torture Killer is actually a death metal band from Finland, but what's interesting about them was they started out as a band, a tribute band to 6 Feet Under. You know, 6 Feet Under have a song called Torture Killer, so they were mainly musically inspired by 6 Feet Under and Obituary. But for this particular album, they were looking for a replacement singer who replaced Liuka or whoever sang on the first album, and it was none other than Chris Barnes who volunteered to take over on the vocals. So imagine that for this band. It's a 6 Feet Under tribute band, and then the 6 Feet Under vocalist contacted them and said, I'll sing on your album. So I know a lot of people hate 6 Feet Under, but if you haven't heard this album, it's actually brilliant, like so well produced. Dare I say it, I think musically it's much more interesting and much better than 6 Feet Under, but Chris's vocals on this album are absolutely fantastic. He also produced the album, and no shit, I think this is actually in my top 10 death metal albums of all time. That's how good it is, really. Like, just so many brilliant standout tracks on this, so I won't go into them, but you know, like ones like Heading Towards the Butchery, Sadistic, Obsessed with Homicide. No, I could just name all of these, but like just fantastic old school brutal death metal, bouncy and catchy. Torture Killer with Swarm. Okay, now going into the letter H. I was thinking of mentioning Horner, but that might be predictable coming from me, so I decided to go with Hemlock with Crush the Race of God. So Hemlock was a black metal band from the USA, and it featured some members from Brutal Truth, I think, most significantly Danny Lilka, and I'm not sure if it featured Rich Hoke as well, but anyway, what you have with Hemlock, it's basically a Dark Throne tribute band. So this album in particular, production-wise and in terms of the sound, it's very influenced by, what's that Dark Throne album? Goat Lord, and also A Blaze in the Northern Sky, but especially Goat Lord, and there's also aspects of early Burzum on here. Burzum, so it's like kind of that very sort of raw, primitive black metal, but with so much emotion. So yeah, great underrated album, Hemlock with Crush the Race of God. Okay, now we're going into the letter O, so it would be obvious to choose Obituary, so I decided to go with something else, and I decided to pick Old Man's Child with the Pagan Prosperity, simply because I just love this album. Like, this is melodic black metal from Norway, featuring Golda, who was a member of Dimmu Borgir for a long time, but this was actually his original band, and now just, I think was it last year or this year, the band has reformed. But this is just brilliantly catchy, sharp, melodic black metal, very Norwegian in style, but just the way they use the keyboards and everything, it's just very catchy. And I know this band is quite well known, but for some reason, this has always been my favorite album by them, probably because it was the first one I heard, but it's so good. Like, every track on this is great, but especially the opening track, The Millennium King, but awesome stuff. So that's Old Man's Child with the Pagan Prosperity. Talking too much. Now we get up to the letter U. Okay, in thousand. So I decided to go with Unleashed with Sworn Allegiance. So Unleashed probably need no introduction to most people as one of the most reputable and famous Swedish death metal bands, but I decided to go with this just because it's my favorite Unleashed album by far, out of the ones I've heard anyway, but just because it's like rock solid, really heavy, extremely catchy, and the production is just awesome. So many great tracks on this, but like the tracks really stand out. It's not like some kind of extreme death metal album where there's an overall sound. Like, every song stands out as catchy, and some, dare I say it, I love to maybe overuse this word, but I think some songs are really anthemic on it as well. So yeah, fantastic Unleashed album, and I saw this band at Dark Easter Festival in Germany. They were easily the best band on the bill, so Unleashed with Sworn Allegiance. So it's sort of like death metal with a Viking theme. Okay, now we're getting into the S in thousand, and I've gone with an obscure one because I think this band deserves recognition. This is Sanctus with Aeon Sky, or Eon Sky. So Sanctus, the way I heard about this band, it was in an Ablaze magazine from Germany CD compilation. They included the song Imperial from this, but essentially what it is, they are an American black metal band, so from the US, and it's bombastic symphonic black metal, very much in the vein of Emperor and Dimmu Borgir, but especially Emperor. So if you like that kind of stuff, this band is definitely worth checking out. I've never really heard anybody talk about this band, and I probably wouldn't have heard of them had it not been for that Ablazing compilation. But yeah, if you like your symphonic black metal, definitely check this out. So that's Sanctus with Aeon Sky. And in the description, by the way, I'll probably just I don't know, will I write a list? Because then it just sort of gives it away and you don't have to watch it. But if you have any questions about the names of the artists or albums, please ask me in the comments. Okay, so now we're getting up to the A in 1000, and I decided to go with an old favorite. This is Agathos with the Weaving Fates. So you've probably heard me talk about this on my channel a few times, but Agathos it's a Greek band, and they play melodic black metal, very mystical and atmospheric. It's great with the acoustic guitars and the keyboards and everything like that. But what's interesting is that they also splice that with elements of 80s heavy metal, particularly that epic heavy metal like Iron Maiden. Think of albums like Peace of Mind in particular. So it's sort of like that Maiden-esque heavy metal blended with melodic black metal with atmosphere, and it's absolutely fantastic. So definitely check this band out if you like Greek black metal. That's Agathos with the Weaving Fates. Okay, now we're getting to N in 1000, and I decided to go with another Greek band. This is Nocturnity, and it's a split release. This is Enoria / Crucify Him. So Nocturnity is primarily a one-man black metal band from Greece, and it's very melodic and majestic. This is a band that I don't listen to that frequently, but when I do, I really enjoy it. Sadly, with most of these, I listened to them before this video just to get up to speed. I didn't have time for this one because I'm sort of on a tight schedule at the moment. But yeah, I remember that I really like this one. I'll probably give this another listen later today, but if you just like epic and majestic black metal, and with that different edge because it's Greek, so check out that. So that's Nocturnity, so sort of a play on nocturnal and eternity, with Enoria, Crucify Him. Okay, that dog is barking again. Okay, all right, and now we're up to the D in 1000, so I'm just making sure my CDs don't fall off the edge of the sofa here. D, so I decided to go with another obscure release. This is Dravok with Omen. So Dravok are an Indonesian black metal band, and I bought this at my friend's shop, 666 Records in Bangkok. This is just an EP, I think 5 tracks, and I need to give this one another listen too. But if you haven't heard of them, that's probably quite likely. Dravok play very sort of blasting, brutal black metal, but yet it's well produced at the same time. So sort of in the vein of bands like Marduk, Enthroned and War. And I know in Indonesia they're right into their metal, so this is an absolutely fantastic release as well, one I need to check out again. So yeah, if you're a Marduk and Enthroned fan, definitely check out Dravok with Omen. All right, so that's it. I've spelled out the words 1000 using the starting letters from names of bands only. Now I will go to the second part. Excuse me, I ate before this. Now I'll go to the second part of the contest where I need to shout out some channels. Okay, so just bear with me for a moment. Okay, so as I mentioned in John's recent contest entry as well, it's so common these days to be asked to shout out other channels. So I think I've done that ad nauseum, and like I jokingly said, if you have a channel, chances are I've mentioned you already. But this one, what I decided to do today, instead of like being very selective or picky, I was doing that before to be original. I decided just to go into my account and then bring up the most recently viewed ones, and that's also a reflection of the ones I watch the most. So if your name is mentioned in this list, you made the grade. No, I'm just joking. But like, seriously, if your name is in this list, it means I watch your channel frequently, even though I may not necessarily always comment, because that's time consuming, but trust me, I like your videos. And as always, if I left you out, I'm sorry, that was just unintentional, it was an accident. Having said that, I think, not that I'm expecting it, but I get left out of a lot of people's shout outs as well. I'm not expecting it, like I'm saying, but that's the point, don't take it to heart. But anyway, these are some of my favorite ones that I watch most frequently. Okay, and I will just, with most of them you know them, so I don't need to say anything about them, but if there's ones which I think are less common or less known, I might describe them a bit. So this is going to sound like a mortician thanks list, but these are my shout outs for channels. Okay, No Solution, so No Solution by Scott in the US, Canyon Bickle, Tainted Lord 87, Guz 69, This Is Music, George G's Room of Rock, the man in question, Mr. Boulder, Sean the Beast, Maddox Deep Shadows, Warhammer 666, Metal Marty Mac, and the next one, I'll pause on this one, there's one I watch called Dee's Kitty, I think, Deeskitty. That's a channel I discovered recently. It's a young Australian guy, and what he does is he he does like mini documentaries on band histories, you know, talking about the albums, but also like the history and the events surrounding the band or phenomena. Like he did a recent chapter on the death metal murders in Italy, which was really interesting. So that's Dee's Kitty, a new channel I've discovered. So continuing with the list, Attack from Down Under, Rock and Metal Plus, Flapperdame 16. That's a channel I think a lot of people don't know about. So Flapperdame 16, that's run by a woman called Emily G, an American woman, and she's a massive Kiss and Ace Frehley fan. So if you're into that kind of music, like George, you might like this channel. She's a massive fan of that, and she does unboxings of, you know, Kiss albums and signed Ace Frehley albums. And she came up with some interesting topics relating to Kiss and Ace Frehley. So that's Flapperdame 16. Another one I mentioned recently was Downfall Network. Also Maze of Torment, Roger Kjovik, Scott Waters, the Blackened Hymns channel, Just Another Heavy Metal Maniac, Wandering Souls webzine, Boris T. Boris T is the guy, Serbian guy, I think. Oh god, no, I don't want to get it wrong, like Serbian or Croatian, because they don't like each other. But he's Boris T. He plays in the band Triglove. He's the guy. So he's got a black metal band, and he also makes interesting videos about the black metal scene in Norway and visiting famous sites over there. You know, like for example, where Euronymous used to live or where Mayhem used to rehearse. So that's really interesting. Also, Josh Keach, Thrash Maniac 99, Merciful Metal, Norwegian Black Cult, Christian Osorio, Metal Mickey, Explosive Action, Analog Archives, S&T Young, The Dreadful Minutes, and Black Metal Werewolf. So these are pretty much the channels that I watch all the time or very frequently. There's also Motley Crue Forever One, Nick, who was my initial inspiration to make a channel, but he's not making videos at the moment because he's too busy with life, but he will always be the ultimate inspiration for me. Motley Crue Forever One. Yeah, so like I said, if I neglected to mention your name, sorry, it's nothing personal. It's just there's so many channels out there that I watch, but these ones came up as the ones that I tend to watch the most frequently. But yeah, if there are other channels you think I should know about, let me know. Even if it's yours, I want to watch interesting channels. Okay, so that's it, guys. I think this video has gone on quite long enough, so I hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, my shout outs, that was like a mortician thanks list, but I'm going to keep this for future shout outs just because it's easy to rattle off. Okay, so hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and once again, congratulations, George, on reaching 1,000 subscribers, and I'm sure you'll get many more in the near future. This is, maybe to your relief, this is going to be my last video for a while. Like, I've done 4 in the last week, but then I will be away again for a couple of weeks, so to give you a breather, but I will be back again soon with more collection updates and videos. So in the meantime, take care, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers, bye.